Alright everybody, I've had quite a few requests for a snake feeding video recently, and I typically don't have my phone in my hand while I'm feeding all of the snakes, but I did find an older video, about 30 minutes. I was able to chunk it down to about 3 minutes to show you the consumption of a meal of one of our snakes, and I figured this would be a cool time to teach y'all a little bit about constrictors and how they do it, why they do it, who are constrictors. It's especially cool because a lot of our snakes here at the rescue are constrictors. Of course, boa constrictors are, pythons are constrictors, and then things like corn snakes are constrictors as well. There's quite a few non-venomous snakes that kill their prey, subdue their prey by constriction. There's actually a few venomous snakes as well that do it. It's very rare, but it does happen. So I've had a lot of people, when I have a snake around my neck at shows, say, "Isn't he gonna hurt you? Doesn't he want to eat you?" And even some of the larger snakes will kind of pinch up around the neck, cause my face to turn a little red. There's definitely some worry in people's eyes, but snakes are not like a cowboy. They don't lasso you and pull you on in. What they're gonna do first is they're gonna grab you with their mouth, and their teeth are built to hold on when they cease the prey. They're actually kind of hooked back, curved back, so you really can't get away once they get a hold of you. And something they also thought years ago is that the snakes crush their prey. They crush the bones, things like that. Not very typical. There was a small study that came out that showed some green anacondas crushing vertebrae, crushing some different bones in the prey that they found. A good chunk of those prey were regurgitated meals already consumed by the green anaconda. So there's not solid evidence showing that that bone didn't necessarily break while already inside the body, that the bones broke during the squeezing process. I'm not saying it's impossible, it's just very rare for that to actually happen. What they do is something completely different. For a long time, people used to think that it would squeeze them and it would prevent them from breathing. And there still is a small aspect of that that happens with grabbing and constricting the prey. So when they constrict the prey, actually, they're finding on boa constrictors, they did a study that they constrict the prey and they squeeze and they actually stop the blood flow from circulating around the body. No blood flow, no oxygen, you're gonna lose consciousness, and pretty shortly after the consciousness, those prey will go into cardiac arrest, they'll have a heart attack. And there's actually some constrictors that squeeze their prey even tighter than would be needed for cardiac arrest, causing hemorrhaging in the oral and nasal cavities by forcing more blood to the brain and kind of screwing around with their neurological processes. Some of you might have seen this if you've ever fed a rodent to one of your snakes. I've seen it personally, where they get a nosebleed, something like that. That's that hemorrhaging they're talking about it. So really, guys, depending on the snake species, the size of that snake, and even the way that they grab their prey, there's lots of different ways, there's lots of different mechanisms that will actually go into the death of that prey item by a constrictor snake. And something very interesting is they stop holding on only after the heart stops beating. They feel that heartbeat going on inside of their prey, and only once it's stopped will they let go a few minutes later. They did a study to prove this, because it's kind of hard to test, rodents' heartbeats on the inside of a coiled up snake. So they put little pumps inside of rodents, inside of rats, and essentially they watched the snake. They saw how they squeezed the prey. They would stop after 10 minutes and the snake would let go after just a few minutes after they stopped the heartbeat. They put rodents in there with an artificial heartbeat and without an artificial heartbeat, and the ones that had the heartbeat going on held on for twice as long and exerted twice the squeezing force on that rodent, showing that they have much more of a feeding sense ability when the rodent has that heartbeat. And what I found really interesting, talking about things being built into you, innate senses, things that are just instinctually inside of these animals, is they took wild populations and did this, and they took captive populations who had never eaten a live rodent, and both of them would grab the rodent, hold on, and only release once the heart stopped beating, showing that that is instinctually built into that animal. Now, the constriction was slightly different. The pressure, wild-caught constrictors would squeeze much tougher than captive constrictors, showing that the constriction and holding on until the heart stopped were built in instinctually, but they learned how tough they would need to squeeze that prey in order to kill it properly. Pretty neat. And it's important that they know how to squeeze their prey. If they squeeze it too light, the prey won't die quick enough. If they squeeze it too hard, you might rupture something, cause some sort of external fluids, which is going to smell and tell predators that may want to eat you as a snake, hey, I'm over here, there's a meal. And the snakes are pretty vulnerable during this feeding time. Not only that, but they want to do it very efficiently and very quickly because it's a lot of energy to constrict a meal. Snakes can actually exert 7 times the metabolism when they're constricting a meal, 7 times the energy. So, it's important to kill quick and efficiently and know for these constrictors when their prey takes its very last heartbeat. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed and you're ready for breakfast.